Welcome back here to MediaCom Channel 22 as we talk Cougar soccer, kind of a year-in recap on our Cougar Coaches show here on MediaCom Channel 22 and on ColumbiaCougars.com. My name is Cosmo. I work with Zimmer Radio Group, KTGR and Y107. With me, head coach of both the soccer programs. The first year in the history books for the Cougar women's program. Let's go ladies first and start with your women's team. If you include the tournament run, a 10-10 overall finish to your season, and you made it all the way to the conference championship match. Pretty solid first season on the pitch for the ladies.
Yeah, I think it has to be characterized as a successful season. The ladies did a great job. They played some terrific soccer, played a tough schedule, played top 25 teams to some very good matches. I'd say won most of the games we were supposed to win, came up just a little bit short at that next tier. But I think the core group is outstanding, and I think if coaching staff can do their job in the off season, I think this team competes at a top 25 level next year.
It's one of those milestones, as we kind of talked about throughout the season during the broadcast at the games and on the coaches show here on MediaCom Channel 22. Each individual first was a new step in the, first it was obviously the creation, and then you get the players coming in with Kelly Ross as your first signee and the first season in the books. In conference play, you have the two losses, but to a team, in Park that you ended up then revenging and going into overtime, and that tournament championship game was the second overtime was a heartbreaking finish to the season for the ladies, but still a battle.
Yeah, it was. They positioned themselves certainly in conference. Played Park the last game of the season for the conference championship, and then had a second opportunity at Park for the conference tournament championship. They, a victory would have put us in the national tournament, and we really were that close. The girls scored first.
Got the first goal too, which is
scored first, and we were certainly giving Park everything they wanted. And they did have two or three special players that made an impact in the second half. They scored a goal with, I'm going to say 20, 25 minutes left. And but our girls battled, and we battled through a first overtime and went into the second overtime with the wind and with some confidence. And unfortunately, they scored a minute or two into the second overtime. And really, a fluke cross that made it to the back post. And I know Erica, our goalkeeper, would like to have had it back. She slipped on the play, but she had a terrific game and a terrific season. So all in all, a great year.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, anytime you can make a run like you did and all the way to the conference championship and take a team to the champs 2 overtime, got to be characterized as successful. If you were to individually kind of break some things down a little bit as far as you and yourself and Coach John Deshay, as far as putting some gold stars next to some of your players, who were some of your standouts in their first years as Cougars?
I think that backfield was super strong. Elise Castellanos from California and Mallory Page, the two center backs, they were outstanding. I think Elise was first team all-conference, and Mallory was an honorable mention all-conference. Stephanie Hale did a great job. She wound up settling in at the center midfield for us. She was a first team all-conference player, also out of California. And then I think Kelly Ross, she was significant in that she led the team in scoring. She was always dangerous, very powerful player. So those were our all-conference level players, and with all of them back, I think we look to fare very well next year.
Yeah, Mallory was somebody that almost immediately, as soon as you started watching her play, and you kept forgetting, you looked down, you're like, okay, wait, she's a freshman, and really played well, had that confidence all the time. And then there was a few matches where she'd get moved up and out of the midfield or up top and excelled well there too.
Well, we experimented with her up top, as we did with Nicola a few years back. We were struggling to score goals in big games. Mallory's a good soccer player, very comfortable on the ball, very confident, very fast, and we just thought we might get a little bit from her up top. But I think her and Elise just kind of had a nice little partnership back there, and they took pride in protecting our goal, and I think they settled in, and that's likely to be their positions next year. They just did such a good job.
And you've seen the success with how strong a solid back four, especially in the center, can produce the way the men's program has been with the quarterbacks you had on that team in the midfield or the back four. And we'll talk about that a little bit coming up here. What's the next turn as far as as far as the current players, as far as any off-season workouts, and also then how does the world of girls soccer recruiting from high school and junior college players go for you guys?
Well, we're in the middle of that right now. Our graduate assistant, Megan Gill, she's been on the horn a lot trying to identify players. Coach Deshay's been working at it. So we're all, putting our 2 cents in there and making the effort. We've brought several players to campus. We did recently get an indication that it sounds like we're going to get a JUCO forward here very shortly. I think that's the direction we're looking. We're looking for the mature player, 6 or 7 of them that can step in and help us immediately on a national level. Would like to add 2 or 3 or 4 freshmen as well. I think that was the plan going into even last year. We wanted to get to about 20, which is exactly what we did this year. Save a little bit of scholarship money for the current situation and see if we can't compete at the highest level next year. So we're on that right now. The kids will go on break here, exams next week, and then won't get back till the middle of January. Give them a few weeks to get settled in, and then we'll be back at it. So really looking forward to the spring and seeing if we can work on a few things and position this team for a great season next year.
And certainly recruiting-wise, as we talked with Coach John Klein of the Cougars soccer teams, both men and women, last year in the recruiting, you were recruiting for the promise. Obviously, your history with the men's program and the stability that you and Coach Deshay have brought with that system and program and kind of providing that recruiting on that dream of being the first. And now you actually have the resume and the body of work of a successful season to help continue to sell the program, and a current group of ladies that can also help you recruit with their club teammates and former high school teammates or junior college teammates.
Yeah, all those things that you just said. I mean, all the different ways that you identify players. And we love to bring them into our campus. We're very proud of what we have here at Columbia College. Columbia is a great town to be in, and we love to just show them the level that we have. And so we get them out on the field with our girls, and I think that's a selling point in itself, just being on the field with competitive individuals that want to compete at a high level. So I feel really good about where we are right now. We've seen good players. We continue to identify strong players. We're bringing them into campus, and I have a lot of confidence that we'll identify 6 or 7 very strong players to bring in and add to this group.
And something cool with the women's team. I know you were obviously with your men's team in that national tournament game in Montgomery, Alabama, but over in Southwell Complex here on the other side of where we're filming this at, they had the game on the big screen TV and some bleachers set up on the courts area, and pretty much every one of your women's players were in there with the other students watching the men's team play in the national tournament. I thought that was pretty cool to walk into and see that level of camaraderie and sportsmanship between each other, cheering them on. That was pretty cool to watch and see that happen.
I think that developed extremely well for us this year. We traveled to the same locations. We traveled in separate buses, but we traveled to the same locations. Teams would support one another. The guys would arrive to see at least the second half, or in many cases, most of the women's game. They would get prepared for their game to follow, and I think it was just a nice arrangement, and both teams supported each other. We'd like that to continue moving forward, and I think the teams kind of feed off of each other and each other's success. So it's been a great year. I've really enjoyed working with both teams, and looking forward to for years to come.
When we come back, we'll talk about that men's team that made it to the round of 16 for the third trip to the national tournament in 4 seasons, including hosting a big game in the national tournament here that went to the dreaded penalty kicks. Still trying to get over that one. That was a big win, though, for Columbia College. We'll talk about the men's season, an undefeated regular season, a remarkable season for sure for the Cougar men's squad. We'll come back and talk to Coach Klein about that season and a little preview ahead for what's in store for the guys coming up after this here on Mediacom Channel 22.